Imagine the roar of 1,000 warriors charging into battle, the clash of steel on steel, the desperate struggle for survival. This wasn't a scene from a movie. It was the reality of warfare for thousands of years. But how did these ancient warriors, without high-tech weaponry or communication, achieve such dominance on the battlefield? So get ready, mates, because we're about to delve into the fascinating world of ancient battle hacks. We'll explore how the Greeks used a wall of spears to crush enemy lines, how the Romans adapted their army to any situation, and how a simple invention like the stirrup changed the way wars were fought forever. Get ready to discover the secrets of the battlefield and learn how these ancient warriors achieved legendary victories with some seriously cool tricks. 1. The Phalanx, a spear-fueled juggernaut. Imagine a giant human bowling ball covered in shields and bristling with spears. That's the fearsome Greek phalanx. Soldiers called hoplites formed a tight line, their long spears pointed outwards like a forest of steel. With shields locked together, they presented an almost impenetrable wall that could crush enemy formations. This tactic, especially famous with the Spartans, helped the Greeks win battles like Thermopylae. The key? Teamwork. Each hoplite relied on his comrades to hold the line, creating a powerful force. The long spears offered incredible reach, allowing them to take down enemies before close combat. Overlapping shields deflected arrows. However, the phalanx was slow and inflexible, making it vulnerable on uneven ground. Still, it showed the power of formations and teamwork, something soldiers still use today. 2. The Roman toolbox. Adapting to conquer and building an empire. The Romans weren't big on fighting the same way every time. Their army, the legion, was like a well-stocked toolbox filled with different fighters. At its core were the legionaries, heavily armored soldiers with big shields for the front line. But that's not all. They also had lighter troops called velites who threw javelins before the main fight, and even cavalry on horseback for flanking maneuvers. This mix-and-match approach allowed them to adapt to any situation. Facing archers, velites took care of them. Open field, cavalry charged the flanks. The legion itself was also super clever. Soldiers used a special formation that broke the legion into smaller, more flexible groups. Plus, Romans were great engineers, building strong forts and siege weapons. Their adaptable approach is still used today, where different soldier types work together to win. Imagine commanding a vast Roman army, its legions renowned for their discipline and might. During its reign, the Roman Empire expanded its borders an incredible 3.5 million square miles, displayed on a map, showcasing their immense power. 3. The Stirrup Revolution, from bouncing to brutal charges. For a long time, cavalry charges were more like bouncing rides. Then, nomads invented the stirrup, a simple invention that gave riders more control. Suddenly, cavalry charges became much more powerful. Empires like the Huns and Mongols used this stirrup advantage to dominate battles. The stirrup revolutionized warfare. It allowed riders to wield heavier weapons accurately, making them more lethal. Increased stability enabled shock tactics, breaking enemy lines with the force of a mounted charge. The impact of the stirrup is still felt today. Modern cavalry units, while mechanized, still rely on mobility and shock tactics to win. 4. Assyrian fright tactics, scaring the enemy into submission. The Assyrians weren't big on roses and sunshine before a fight. They were masters of psychological warfare, using fear as their ultimate weapon. They'd unleash impressive siege machines to crack walls and bombard enemies with arrows. But their real scare tactic was brutality. Imagine rows of severed enemy heads on spikes, a chilling message for anyone considering resistance. It's a gruesome tactic by today's standards, but back then, it worked wonders. The Assyrians understood fear's power, using it to demoralize enemies and pave the way for victory. There was more to it than just shock value, though. These brutal displays were strategically calculated. By inflicting casualties before the main battle, they aimed to deplete enemy resources and fighting spirit. It was a terrifying deterrent, encouraging surrender without a fight. While this approach is off limits in modern warfare for ethical reasons, the concept of psychological warfare lives on. Today's militaries use propaganda, intimidation, and targeted operations to weaken enemy resolve and gain a psychological edge on the battlefield. 5. The Castle Conundrum, a medieval maze. Imagine a battlefield dominated by a towering stone beast, the medieval castle. These fortresses, with walls thicker than a man is tall, were a nightmare for attackers. High towers provided archers a vantage point to rain down arrows, while boiling oil awaited anyone foolish enough to attempt scaling the walls. Castles weren't just impressive structures, they were self-contained military outposts. Housing soldiers, supplies, and workshops, they could withstand months under siege. This defensive might led to the rise of knights, warriors skilled in both siege warfare and mounted combat. The castle's legacy lives on. Modern fortifications and fortified positions echo their defensive principles. Additionally, the concept of combined arms warfare, where different units work together to achieve a goal, reflects the coordinated efforts needed to breach a castle's defenses. While technology has rendered many castles obsolete, the ingenuity behind them continues to inspire military strategy. And there you have it. These ancient warfare hacks may seem brutal or strange by today's standards, but they revolutionized combat and continue to influence war tactics even now. If you enjoyed this glimpse into the history of warfare, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more explorations of the past. We'll be delving into other fascinating topics soon, so hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.